Hello, everyone, and welcome from the Sara and Sam Schoffer Holocaust Resource Center at Stockton University. Thank you for joining us this evening. This evening's program will be recorded and all participants will be muted. There will be time for questions after the formal presentation. The chat box is open now and will continue to be open for questions to be sent to the host, Irvin Marino Rodriguez. For New Jersey educators, resource materials and your professional development hours will be sent to your home address. The form for educators to complete will be in the chat. Please complete and submit to either Gail or Irvin. And again, just one other note, if you can have your cameras on, it means a lot to our presenters being able to connect with you. And so I'd like to turn the beginning of the program over to our friend and partner, Dr. Tammy DeFranco from Atlantic Cape Community College. Good evening, Tammy.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you, Gail. I am Dr. Tammy DeFranco, Director of the Cape May Student Affairs and One-Stop Services at Atlantic Cape Community College, and honored to be a member of the Sara and Sam Schoffer Holocaust Resource Center Executive Committee. I am very proud to say that Atlantic Cape Community College and Stockton University have been partners for 39 years, building a community of awareness on Holocaust programs. I remember the past years and my first connection and involvement with the annual Holocaust programs, such as I Never Saw Another Butterfly, The Measure of a Man, Martin Greenfield memoir, A Comb and a Prayer book, just to name a few, as well as the Anne Frank exhibit. I like to quote from the diary of Anne Frank, "How wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world." With that being said, both Atlantic Cape Community College and Stockton University have and will continue to improve and educate our communities together for another 39 plus years on Holocaust awareness. Thank you.
And thank you, Tammy. We should say amen. We hope that happens moving forward. And I would like to now call on Dr. Rob Gregg, our Dean of General Studies and Graduate Studies here at Stockton. And Dr. Gregg will be introducing our presenters. And I want to remind some of you that have just joined us that there will be a question and answer period available, and you can put your questions in the chat to our host, Irvin, and they will be posed to our presenters after their presentation. Dr. Gregg, please.
Thank you. Hello and welcome students, educators, and community members to the 39th Annual Holocaust Awareness Program. I'm Rob Gregg, Dean of the School of General Studies and Graduate Education at Stockton University, and a member of the Sara and Sam Schoffer Holocaust Resource Center Executive Committee. Yes, as we have heard, it was 39 years ago, in 1983, that Stockton College President Vera King Farris proposed beginning an annual Holocaust Awareness Program to bring together, at that time, Atlantic Community College and Stockton College for an annual remembrance and commemoration program dedicated to the Holocaust. This bridge and connection has continued for 39 years with Atlantic Cape Community College and Stockton University. This year's program, The Betrayal of Anne Frank, will discuss why and by whom Anne Frank's family was betrayed while they were hiding in Nazi-occupied Amsterdam. We are honored to have as our presenters, Jan Erik Dubbelman, Emeritus Director of the International Education Projects at the Anne Frank House, and Dr. Dienke Hondius, Stockton University's Ida E. King Distinguished Visiting Professor of Holocaust Studies in spring 2020 and Assistant Professor at Vrije University. Jan Erik and Dienke live in Amsterdam, and both were interviewed by the cold case team in Amsterdam, who were investigating and trying to determine the story of the betrayal of Anne Frank's family while in hiding. Our presenters will share their experiences and opinions. And then, as you heard, there will be time for you all to ask questions after their presentation. Thank you very much, and welcome Dienke and Jan Erik. Thanks for your presentation.
Thank you very much, Dean Greg and Gail Rosenthal, for your introductions. We are very, very happy to be here. We'll share our PowerPoint so that we can start the presentation. So, our presentation is called Betrayal, Discovery and Arrest of the Frank Family in 1944. So we talk about the cold case team who have done this investigation about the betrayal of the Frank family, and we talk about the reactions to it. But before we start with that, we have to explain a little bit more about Anne Frank and about the background of this history. Now, Anne Frank has become very well known through her diary, which was written in Amsterdam while she was in hiding with her family from the Nazis. You see the diary here on the left, and in the middle picture, the right picture is a picture of Amsterdam, where she lived when she was a teenager, until they went into hiding in 1942. And unfortunately, the middle picture is from the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp, now a memorial center in Germany. And it is not an official memorial stone for Anne Frank and Margot Frank, her sister, there, but it is just a stone that was placed there in one of the mass graves of Bergen-Belsen camp to signify that somewhere in that place are the human remains of the two Frank sisters. So that is what you should know before we start. So the Frank family were a Jewish family from Frankfurt am Main in Germany, one of the main cities in Germany. And they fled to Amsterdam in the Netherlands to escape the Nazis already in 1932. The father, Otto Frank, came to Amsterdam in 1933. His family and the young children joined them. Anne Frank was then only 4 years old. And with her sister Margot, she went to school, and she had a relatively quiet life in the 1930s. And while the Nazis were in power in Germany already, Amsterdam was not occupied yet, so things were relatively easy there until May 1940, because then the Netherlands were also occupied by Nazi Germany, and the country was under Nazi occupation control. And very soon, within a month, the first anti-Jewish measures were introduced. And there were a lot of things that became prohibited for Jews. They could not do this, could not do that, and life became very difficult quickly. Jews were set apart, they were registered, there was a definition of who was Jewish and who was not. And on that basis, Jews very quickly were facing deportation. And the deportation started in July 1942. Now, what could you do to escape or to evade deportation? You could pretend that you were not Jewish. You could change your family history, or you could go into hiding. And going into hiding was one of the, in retrospect, the most successful and very often used forms of resistance by Jews in the Netherlands. All smaller and larger networks, smart networks of people trying to escape deportation and escape death by going into hiding, by finding a hiding place. Now, the Franks found a hiding place in the business building that they were renting for their business. Otto Frank had a business in spices, and he rented a building for that, and behind that building were some empty rooms, and those rooms were used as a hiding place. And they stayed there for 25 months, from July 1942, so right when the deportation started in Amsterdam, until the 4th of August 1944. On the 4th of August 1944, the hiding place was raided. So they were discovered They were betrayed. In any case, they were arrested. And they were arrested by a Viennese from Vienna, Karl Silberbauer, a Nazi officer, and several Dutch police officers. They came to the hiding place and they knew what they were doing. They found the Jews in hiding there immediately, not only the Frank family, but also another family, the Van Pels family, with one son, Peter, and Mr. Pfeffer, a dentist. So they were in hiding with 8 people together. And they were all arrested, first brought to a prison in Amsterdam, later to a transit camp in the Netherlands that was used, the Westerbork concentration camp near the border with Germany. And in Westerbork, they stayed about 4 weeks. So now Anne Frank was, after 2 years in hiding in that camp in the north of the Netherlands. And then a month later, they were all deported by train from Westerbork to a camp in Poland, Auschwitz-Birkenau. And that was one of the concentration camps and extermination camps. So they stayed there from September 1944 until a few months later. The girls, Anne Frank and her sister Margot, were then brought from Auschwitz to Bergen-Belsen. So all the way from faraway Poland to Germany. And Anne Frank's mother was killed in Auschwitz-Birkenau in January. And her father, Otto, survived there. So the family was split up while they were in Auschwitz, and only Otto Frank survived. So he was alive when the Russian army, the Red Army, liberated Auschwitz-Birkenau, and all the other family members were killed. And he returned to Amsterdam all alone. Here we see Otto Frank. He was able to publish Anne Frank's, his daughter's diary, 2 years later in 1947. And in 1960, some years later, he was able to open the former hiding place, those empty rooms they had rented there.
Dienke, you've gone mute.
Sorry. Okay. Don't know how that happened. I'm sorry. So the Anne Frank house is the former hiding place, now a museum. If you ever go to Amsterdam, you have to visit it. And Otto Frank was very active in opening the museum. Now, his quote is, he was very active in issues of social justice and anti-discrimination. He said, "We cannot change what has happened anymore. The only thing we can do is to learn from the past and to realize what discrimination and persecution of innocent people means. My opinion is that everyone has the duty to fight prejudice." So without Otto Frank, we would not be here today, I am sure. I want to tell you briefly how Otto Frank returned. So he was liberated in Auschwitz and he came back to Amsterdam, but it took 5 months. And in the summer of 1945, he was back in Amsterdam and he was still hoping that his children were alive. He did not know that they were in Bergen-Belsen. He did not know whether they were alive or dead. But in July, he got the news that they were both killed in Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. And at that moment, one of his secretaries, Miep Gies, who was also one of the helpers while they were in hiding, Miep Gies gave Otto Frank the diary of his daughter. And she said, "Well, this is to the memory of your daughter." He was very deep in mourning, Otto Frank. He was very sad. People tell us that when they would meet Otto Frank, he was always crying and he was carrying this diary around. So it is a very sad father in mourning that we have to imagine when we think of Otto Frank. He could have returned to his own apartment in Amsterdam, but he chose not to. He was alone there. The whole family were killed. What would he do there? He chose instead to live with Miep Gies and her husband and their little son, Paul. So he moves in with Miep and Jan Gies. And he stays there for 7 years. Can you imagine staying with a small family who's not your own family for 7 years? And it was a small apartment also. Otto Frank remarries a few years later with a Holocaust survivor. They met also on the train, and they had a very good second marriage in 1953. And then they moved to Switzerland, where Otto still had some family members. Some of them, Mipries and also a daughter of his second wife, Eva, have become very active writers and active presenters and speakers after Otto Frank died in 1980. And one of them, Eva Schloss, is still alive. She lives in London. So her mother married Otto Frank, and we've heard that she is not in good health at the moment, but she is the same age as Anne Frank would have been. And if you Google her, you will find very interesting things to look at. Now, Otto Frank tried to find out who betrayed us. How were we arrested? What happened? How can we find out? When he came back, he wanted to know, of course. So he tried first in the first years after the war, 1945 to 48, and later he tried again around 1963. Now, Jan Erik will tell about how the first...
Yes, thank you. The question about the betrayal of Anne Frank is one of the questions that always is asked by school groups or visitors of the Anne Frank house when we do a tour. And over the years, several attempts were made to find out the identity of that person. The first time by the police, Dutch police, just after the war, and Otto Frank pushed the police really hard to find that betrayer. And then in 1963, when Simon Wiesenthal, who was had been looking for the identity of the person who arrested the Frank family, and in 1963 he found it, the Viennese policeman Karl Silberbauer, he asked to open a new research into what happened. And based on the testimony of Silberbauer, that research happened, but none of the two police research led to the identification of a betrayer. Afterwards, several authors came up with new theories. There was the German author Melissa Müller, the British author Caroline Lee, and they all came up with new theories. And also one of my colleagues at the Anne Frank house, he suggested perhaps there was not even a case of betrayal. Maybe the police discovered the Jews in hiding by accident. When the cold case team, led by an FBI researcher, approached us in 2017, we were positive about the initiative because it felt very unsatisfactory that the identity of the betrayer was still not found. Now, to explain a little bit how complex it is to find an answer to that question, this is a picture of Amsterdam in 1947, just after the war. And the blue building that you see in this block of canal houses was the office of Otto Frank. And behind it, the green building, is the secret annex. And right away, you see that the business of Otto and the 8 people in hiding had a lot of people who could see or even hear what was going on in the secret annex. So if you list the number of people who could have been involved in the betrayal, and I simplify the issue a little bit, there were colleagues in the office who were nosy, who couldn't be trusted, who were members of the Dutch Nazi Party, who gossiped about the Jews in hiding. There were relatives of helpers who were also aligned to the German occupiers and threatened to betray the Jews in hiding. There were very unseedy figures, Nazi informers, blackmailers who met with Otto Frank before the war or before they went into hiding. Job Janssen was a guy who threatened Otto with exposing him. Tony Ahlers, a very, very dark figure, he got into Otto Frank's life. And there was a notorious Jewish informer who was proven to have betrayed dozens, if not hundreds, of Jews throughout the year that she was active for the security forces. Now, those were the ones close to the Frank story, but there was the risk of people who were arrested and interrogated by the Nazis who could have known about the Jews in hiding. There was a greengrocer very close by who sheltered a Jewish family. He was arrested, the Jewish family was arrested, and they maybe under interrogation could have given up the identity. There were other shopkeepers who regularly for 2 years gave food to the 8 Jews in hiding. There were neighbors who dropped remarks like what's going on in that annex, and they were known Nazi party members. And there were also policemen who were actively looking for Jews, or policemen involved in finding out who burglarized the annex. So the list of potential betrayers is pretty long. So when Vince Pankoki, the cold case expert at the FBI, retired, said he wanted to do an intensive research, we met with him several times, gave him some notes and correspondence that we had gathered over the years. And we were impressed by the scale and the scope of his efforts. They used new investigative techniques. They looked at endless amount of documents, interviewed a lot of people. So we felt this was a very serious attempt to find out who betrayed Anne Frank. This is an example of the way they worked. The red dots this is a map of Amsterdam during the war years, and using artificial intelligence, they identified dozens and dozens of people who potentially could have betrayed. And the yellow circles on this map are addresses of known paid Nazi informers, and the red circles, addresses of known Nazi collaborators. For Jews to be in hiding in those years was extremely dangerous. And looking back at the story of the Frank family, they were in hiding for more than 2 years. You wonder how they could have stayed in hiding for so long undetected. For the cold case team, the key element of their theory, and that's where we start to have serious doubts, is a note, an anonymous note that was handed to Otto just after the war. We don't know the exact date. We don't have the original name. And that note revealed that a prominent Jewish notary in Amsterdam, his name is Arnold van den Bergh, he was, according to the note, the person who gave up the people at Prinsengracht 263. What I like about the book and in the first part of the book is that all these names that are listed in the presentation or in the diary before were debunked. So they had 15 to 20 names in every single theory, in every single chapter they proved wrong. What is more problematic is the person they identified, Arnold van den Bergh, the notary that you see here. Hoe ga je terug? Yeah. The note that they found, a lot of such notes were circulating after the liberation. So the post-war history of Amsterdam or of the Netherlands, there were a lot of accusations flying about where people accused people of collaborating with the Nazis, betraying Jews, etc. And the fact that the note itself, the original note, doesn't exist. It was copied by Otto in 1957, 1958. Is already a weak point I find in the theory of the cold case team. Also, the note, you see the text here in Dutch. This was the Dutch text was typed by Otto. So you look at not the original, but at a copy, and it says your hiding places was given to the Jewish emigration, which means the security service desk in Amsterdam, at their headquarters, Euterpestraat, by notary A. van den Bergh, who at the time was living near the Vondelpark, a place in the south of the city. By the Jewish emigration service, there was a complete list of addresses provided by him. So the anonymous note not only excused him of giving up one address, no, a whole list of addresses. Now, why Arnold van den Bergh was a member of the Jewish Council in Amsterdam. That was a body created, forced upon the Jewish community to be an intermediate between the Nazi administration and the Jewish community. And to have such a prominent person accused of being the betrayer of Anne Frank is quite an accusation, and not just one family, but the fact that he would provide a list of Jews in hiding. The cold case team suggests that Otto Frank and his main helper, Miep Gies, knew the identity of the betrayer. For them, the identity was not a mystery, but a secret. So they suggest that Otto and Miep knew, probably very early on, who the identity was, but chose to shelter and protect that person. They based that theory on some remarks that Miep made during several presentations. She said, for instance, that the people involved in the betrayal had passed away before 1963. Our problem with that construction is that the statements, both by Otto over the years and by Miep, are not very clear, and at times you can read a lot in it, but it doesn't provide a solid identification of the betrayer. But for the cold case team, this is their key element in their theory, that Arnold van den Bergh could have been one of the betrayers. There are some other people on the list that I mentioned who died prior, but they already had debunked them as potential betrayers. For instance, one of the Anne Frank House staff died prior to the second investigation. The greengrocer nearby, who may have been interrogated and could have given up the identity of the people in hiding, he passed away early. But the cold case team take them in the book off the list. So who was left is notary Arnold van den Bergh. We haven't seen their collected materials. All we know is this book, Het Verraad van Anne Frank, Betrayal of Anne Frank, which is, it doesn't give the references to all the sources, so we cannot fully assess the sources. But we feel we are not convinced by the choice of Arnold van den Bergh as the suspect, partly because all that he has done until August 44 was supporting Jews, helping Jews, finding ways to protect them, and nothing in his record proved him to be a betrayer. Also, by the time the Franks were arrested, he was in hiding with his wife close to Amsterdam. Also, his 3 children were in hiding. So what was the motive for him to give up a list of Jews at that point in time? There's also no immediate link between the notary and the hiding places at Prinsengracht, other than this anonymous note. So our verdict so far is that the theory that the cold case team came up with is too shaky. It's too full of assumptions and speculations. And also the book, for that reason, had a very hostile reception in the Netherlands.
But we want to look at what has happened in the last month. The book was presented in January, half January, first with the Sunday night presentations, 60 minutes. Maybe some of you have seen that. And then the same day the book was presented. And in the Netherlands, it was a sort of secret operation, the presentation of this book. There was a strict embargo with high fines, and there were immediate, very big headlines, but also immediately were very negative reactions in the Netherlands by some of my colleagues, historians at different universities, who said, how can this be true? How trustworthy is this evidence? And there were also several writers and journalists also having serious doubts. There were more cautious but also quite critical comments by directors of the main Holocaust centers and the Jewish Museum and the Anne Frank House, all on the same day. So there was a sort of explosion of interest for this, but also very critical reactions. There were also quite angry reactions from the Jewish community in the Netherlands. Now, especially second generation journalists and writers said, we don't see the evidence. Where's the evidence for this particular notary, Jewish notary, important man? We know Arnold van den Bergh, the Dutch Jewish community is small and families know each other, and van den Bergh is known as somebody very active in social work, always helping Jewish organizations. So how is it possible that so they found it not convincing. So there was a lot of lack of evidence, but there were also, it was also seen as an American production, a commercial operation. There was a lot of negative feeling against it. Now, within a week, the Dutch publisher of the book, and we have the copy of the book here, was shocked about the negative reactions and the criticism, found it important, issued an apology and decided not to make a reprint of the book. So that already happened in January. Now, January, February, March, more criticism came out. And about the method used by the cold case team, and especially the cold case terminology of artificial intelligence. They claimed that it was now 85% certain that Mr. van den Bergh was the most likely suspect of the betrayal. And this calculation was seen as extremely unconvincing by historians. But it is also true that the book and the research has hurt the Jewish community in the Netherlands, and some even feel that it deserves legal action. What you have to understand is that the Jewish community in the Netherlands is a community of survivors, of second and third generation survivors, and in every family are stories of betrayal. So many survivors have in their family histories of betrayal. So that is part of almost every Jewish family history, that they know that my mother was in hiding in so many places, and in these places she was also betrayed, and it has never been investigated. So there is a lot of hurt and tension around these histories. We want to finish with the latest reactions. So you can look yourself at the website of the cold case team, coldcasediary.com, and the press. They are now admitting that some of their statements were too harsh. So they are taking back some of the sort of certain presentations of it, and but they hang on to the book. And they are promising that they'll publish all their sources and findings, and we are waiting for that. But only yesterday, the writer of the book, Rosemary Sullivan, she was not involved in the research, but she was given the material and wrote a popular book about it. She said she stands by the book and she has full confidence in the investigation led by Vince Pankoker. Now that is problematic, I would say, given an initiative by 6 historians in the Netherlands who presented their findings last week on the 22nd of March at the University of Amsterdam with a live stream presentation and also a report in English and in Dutch that you can find online. So the Dutch historians wrote a report about Arnold van den Bergh, and they were aiming to debunk the cold case team book, and they are arguing for justice for the van den Bergh family. So it was very clear evidence that the van den Bergh family were already in hiding, and the locations were known when the family were arrested. So if they were all in hiding, why would van den Bergh have betrayed the family? It's very unlikely. And there's also evidence of his uncontested positive status as a helper, as somebody who was actively helping Jews during the war and during the Holocaust. The Jewish community reactions were emotional and also bitter, I would say. So pain and bitterness. Ruben Vis, a representative of the Jewish Orthodox community, said, close to a third of the Dutch Jews were betrayed. Every Jewish family has betrayal as part of their experience during the Shoah. He also said, it took me only 15 minutes to find out that the Van den Bergh family were in hiding and that Arnold, the father, was hiding in the city of Laren. Yes, we have to stop, yeah. So they are warning for the reaction and see that it has been dangerous. The granddaughter of Arnold van den Bergh has spoken out last week at this meeting of historians that the family are in shock and that they reject the conclusion of the books and they are considering pressing charges. And so here we are. What is now done? I think given the historian's report, Arnold van den Bergh is now either off the hook entirely or maybe remains on that long list of potential, but in his case, very unlikely suspects without evidence. The Dutch publisher has retracted the book and will not present a second printing of it. The German publisher of HarperCollins is withholding it, is not yet publishing it, it's considering it. But the American and Canadian HarperCollins have said that they still stand with the book, and Rosemary Stollerman also stands with the book. So that is the latest. Yesterday in the Globe and Mail, I think that is the biggest Canadian newspaper, right? Mm-hmm. And Rosemary Stollerman is from Toronto. HarperCollins says, while we recognize there has been some criticism to the findings, the investigation was done with respect and the utmost care for an extremely sensitive topic. So that is the very latest yesterday in a newspaper. Now, our conclusion is that we need more research. We cannot stop at this. It is very important to know more about betrayal of Jews in hiding, and we should not accept that this is all we can do. So, but how that can be done, we don't know. Ideally, I would like to put all the freelance researchers that put together the cold case team and my historian colleagues from the Netherlands and maybe an international team together and continue the research because it is very important that we find out more about this. Now, apart from this history, we are involved in other histories of hiding because this is just one hiding place, one family in hiding, and there is much more to do. So if some of you are interested in helping us with our Mapping Hiding Places research project, here are our email addresses, and we hope that to continue with Stockton University, with students, with faculty, and with everyone in this community of survivors and descendants of survivors to build more knowledge and insight in this history. Thank you.
There's questions.
Thank you, Dr. Hondius and Jan Erik. We do have quite a number of questions and comments, and I will do my best to try to get through them tonight. The first question is actually from Dean Robert Gregg. Why would Otto Frank want to keep the secret of the betrayer? What would be the motivation to keep the betrayer's name secret?
Well, Otto never told us why, so we have to guess. The cold case team claims because Arnold van den Bergh was Jewish and was a prominent and respected member of the Jewish community. I find that a complex argument because if he really wanted to keep that secret, why type that note in 1957? Why keep that evidence? If you really want to keep him off the list, you destroy all evidence. So that to me is problematic. There were other people on the list he may have wanted to protect. Let's say the greengrocer was instrumental in feeding the people in hiding. If and when he would have given up the identity of the people in hiding, Otto may have wanted to protect him too. And the sister of one of the helpers, same story. So there had effect. I agree that probably Otto knew more than he shared, and the same goes for Miep. We knew Miep, we worked with her for years, and every now and then she would tell us that some secrets she would take into her grave. And so we think they knew more, but that could have been about a lot of other people potentially involved in the betrayal.
What we also have always heard about Otto Frank is that he tried to find out, but when he couldn't, that he dropped it, that he decided, I will not get my family back by pursuing this, and I am instead focusing on other things, on the diary of my daughter, on positive things to do. And I have always found that convincing, yes? Because he dedicated his life to correspondence with readers of Anne Frank's diary until the year that he died. So it seems like that he made a sort of switch from not pursuing this justice, but to do other things, more educational things, I would say.
Thank you, Dr. Hondius. And actually, before I move on to the other questions, I do want to highlight two very important people on this Zoom presentation. Rosalie Simon, Holocaust survivor of Auschwitz-Birkenau, and of course, Leo Ullman, Holocaust survivor who was a hidden child in Amsterdam. Thank you for joining us. The next question is from Dr. Matthew Hone, a professor at Stockton University. Dr. Hone asks, what kind of legal action can the family of Van der Bergh take in the Netherlands against the book if the evidence was so unreliable and defamed the good name of Van der Bergh and the Jewish community?
Yeah, I don't know. The granddaughter is so angry and so hurt that this is what she said. I don't know whether they are really pressing charges and how they would do that. They said, they asked, she cried out, well, stop with the book, stop with any film plans, don't make it into a film series, you know. That was more an outcry, I think, not a concrete plan for legal action, as far as I know.
One of the first comments to the publication of the book was by a Dutch historian who said, this is a very big and serious accusation, and you can only make it when you have very, very solid and coherent evidence, which is clearly lacking. And I think that's the biggest problem I have with the book. Whether that's the basis for legal action, I don't know. I think the relatives want the project to be stopped. And in the Netherlands, that has happened.
Thank you. And we do have an important question here. Someone from the audience is asking, how did the diary survive and how was it given to Otto Frank?
The diary remained in the hiding place when the families were arrested. So Miep and the other helpers took some papers and things that were lying around, and they put it in their desk and their drawer, and they continued working in the office. So when Otto Frank came back, and when it was certain that the children had died, Miep gave Otto Frank the diary, and that is how it was saved.
Now, at the moment of the arrest, the policeman took the briefcase where Anne Frank had kept her diary and threw it through all the papers on the floor, because they wanted to collect all the valuables. During most arrests, there was an element of greed. They wanted to rob the people in hiding. So what they took were valuables, but what they left was something perhaps even more valuable, the manuscript of the diary. That's the irony.
Thank you. And as sort of a follow-up to that, a member of the audience is asking, there were a great many potential betrayers and Nazis in the area of the Frank family hiding place. Were there many people in the area who were able to remain hidden? If so, it seems surprising that they were hidden for so long.
Yeah, it is true that it is surprising in retrospect that they were hiding there for 25 months, but there are several other, even in the same block, are more hiding places. So there are hiding places everywhere. And yeah, it all depends on the particular situation of one place, how long you could stay there, how safe it was. Every moment, a hiding place could become very dangerous. But there were also places that remained stable and safe for years. But it is, we are now, well, you want to say something?
Yeah, we are now collecting literally thousands of hiding histories. And in some cases, you're puzzled why people were not noticed, although they could be seen or they were playing out in the street. And in other cases, people were very, very careful, and yet, because they were part of a chain of arrests, they were taken sometimes after 2 years. And we find examples in the immediate area where we live. I mean, we know every street of that area. We know examples of arrests in one house, and then the next house, people were safe. We know a friend who survived in hiding, and one floor above, a Jewish family in hiding were arrested. So I don't think we can imagine how scary and difficult life in hiding was for Jews in the Netherlands, in particular in Amsterdam.
Yeah, but we want to find out more about that. That's why we're collecting all these stories.
And we have a question from a community member that they want to know more about your Mapping Hiding Places project. And is it just focused on Amsterdam?
No, it's focused on all of Europe. Yeah,
It's big.
So we come from the Netherlands. So obviously we know a lot about Amsterdam, and we're studying a lot of Dutch sources, but we find Belgium and Germany and Poland and France and all the other European places where Jews were persecuted and were hiding. Very interesting. So the Stockton University students where I was teaching, and some of them are here 2 years ago, were actively involved in finding hiding places. And I think with Dr. Hayes' project, we are also, so it's not over. No, we've only just begun. That's my feeling about this.
And we are also helping children or grandchildren of survivors in hiding to find out more about what happened during the war. So grandchildren approach us and say, do you have some information about my grandfather? He can't remember, he was very young. And sometimes we can. So it's not only for the public out there, but also for relatives to find out more about their family history.
Okay, thank you. And this is actually from a question from an educator. I use parts of the Diary of Anne Frank in my 8th grade class. What should I be highlighting? Because the diary doesn't really tell the history of the Holocaust.
Yeah, it is true that the diary stops in August 1944. So the Diary of Anne Frank does not tell you about what happened afterwards when the family were arrested and deported and killed. So yes, you should absolutely mention the period that the Franks and the other people in hiding were in the camps. You should not stop at the beginning of that history. Yeah, you should include that. In our website of the Anne Frank House are lots of lesson plans and suggestions for lessons about the Holocaust. So if you, I suggest that you look at our website of annefrank.nl, annefrank.com, and annefrank.org for a lot of concrete material, for a timeline, and lots of things that you can teach about.
Thank you. And we do have a follow-up to that question. What books do you recommend that I can read as a history novice to learn more about the Holocaust in the Netherlands and other experiences of hiding in the Netherlands?
One book. Maybe Bob Moore, Victims and Survivors. Bob Moore is a professor of history from Sheffield University, and he's very knowledgeable about the Holocaust in the Netherlands. So Bob Moore has written several books, and I hope you can find some of those.
It's a very analytical book, but it also provides very strong images of what happened. I remember reading the book about a policeman who took an elderly Jewish lady who he arrested for deportation, took her on the back of his bicycle, typical Dutch story, and cycled for miles to bring her to the railway station. And so this humanity as part of a murderous scheme struck me. So, I learned a lot from it, originating from the Netherlands, working on this topic for so many years. It's a very strong synthesis.
Thank you. And this question came up several times tonight, but I'm going to give the credit to Teresa Reddy, a Stockton University undergraduate student. Why do you think Anne Frank became such a prominent figure when discussing hidden children during the Holocaust? And what can we do to learn more about other hidden children during the Holocaust?
Yeah, that's a great question. Why did Anne Frank become so famous? So this first and foremost her diary, but then many other Jewish teenagers wrote diaries, right? Many people write diaries, but this diary became famous mostly through its reception in the United States. That is really what made the book famous, and that it was made into a play that played on Broadway in New York City. So that happened in the 1950s, and then the book became more and more famous, and it became also more known outside so in the Netherlands, the book was not a bestseller at all. So it first appeared in the Netherlands, but it was not a bestseller. People said, well, yes, we know, hiding. Everyone has stories like that. And in the Jewish community is the same. Well, you were in hiding, big deal. Many people were in hiding. But it was the reception through the United States, especially through the Broadway play, that made the book a bestseller and made people come to the hiding place to visit it because they wanted to see where this had happened. Yeah. And how you can find out more, you start somewhere and you begin to read, and you will find more and more suggestions. It can be a very good starting point. Anne Frank can be a very good starting point. It opens a window to the history of the Holocaust, and you will see that there is much more and more to find, especially here in the Holocaust Center. This is a great place to start reading and to continue reading. And I often say we have a feeling that we have only just begun. It's not like we know everything. No, we're learning about this all the time.
For instance, with mapping hiding places, I started looking into what happened in the streets where I've been living. I've moved 15 times before settling in Amsterdam, and I realized in most of the areas where I lived, a lot has happened, but nobody ever talked about it. I was born in 1955, 10 years after liberation. Nobody spoke a word. And opposite where I lived, Jews were in hiding, Jews were arrested in the street, etc. So part of the Mapping Hiding Places project is the idea to bring the story home, closer to home. And so you realize it really happened where we are living as European people.
Okay, great. And actually, a wonderful segue is I'm going to ask Dr. Hayes to unmute. I know he wants to talk about a very special room that we have here in the Holocaust Resource Center. Dr. Hayes, can you unmute?
Yes, does that work?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I just wanted to mention, because somebody had asked, how can you learn more about people, in particular children, in hiding? And I'd like to invite anybody who can make it to Stockton University to visit the Holocaust Resource Center, because here we have an entire room that's dedicated to the story of the Ullman family, and in particular to those rescuers who helped the family, the Ullman family, including Leo Ullman, who was a child at the time and is on this Zoom, to survive in Amsterdam. And so you can do a deep dive and get a lot more information about the German occupation of the Netherlands, about the Holocaust and how it was implemented in the Netherlands and especially Amsterdam, and of course the story of survival in hiding.
Thank you, Dr. Hayes. And if anyone would like to visit the Ullman Rescuers Room here in the Sara and Sam Schoffer Holocaust Resource Center, please feel free to give us a call. I know my director, Gail Rosenthal, will help me put the phone number in the chat box for anyone to call. And Dr. Hondius and Jan Erik, there is one more question that I want to ask before. I know our time is short. What message and lessons should we learn from your program tonight?
Well, that we have no definite answer to the question who betrayed Anne Frank, but that we are convinced that it is important and possible to do more research about that. So that we should not stop, but that we should continue this work.
My takeaway would be to learn more from what happened in terms of betrayal. Why did people betray? Why did they give up Jews? To me, it is one of the darkest elements in the whole process. I can imagine if people decide not to help because they were fearful, but to make a call to betray people, that is beyond me. And I feel that needs further research.
Thank you so much, Jan Erik and Dienke. I learned so much tonight. Thank you for Michael Hayes for reminding us about the exhibit dedicated to the rescuers who saved the Ullman family. Thank you to our partners, including Tammy DeFranco representing Atlantic Cape Community College. Thank you all for joining us. We had well over 100 participants this evening for the 39th Annual Holocaust Awareness Program. We'll see you all looking forward for our 40th Annual Holocaust Awareness Program. Thank you. Have a good evening. And again, on behalf of Stockton University, the Sara and Sam Schoffer Holocaust Resource Center, Tammy DeFranco, I can see her mouthing the words on behalf of Atlantic Cape Community College. Thank you all. Stay safe, be well, and let's give a wave to our presenters.